What's good, y'all? You dub back here again in 2022. Let's get it. Still getting used to that saying on cam. Now, the best version of yourself is disingenuous. Now, for those who know how I get down, who happen to know me, maybe been subbed for me a long time, shout out to all the new members. I've been meaning to say that, but some of the video content is kind of gotten to the heavy side, which of course this one still is, because y'all know how I get down. I tell it big, all the way unvarnished, keep it all the way 1,000 at all times, keep it real, never less than that. Right? But I kind of wanted to tackle, and I know the videos will be long enough as is, and these intros, y'all know how I do. I partially do this so that people know that y'all can exit if y'all ain't ready to go outside the matrix. If y'all ain't ready for that real, you could have been gone. Now that we are here, let's address this. First, let's start with the paradoxical statement I'm about to say. I actually do want people to be the best versions of themselves. It says for men, right? For men, right? Because address it for women in a second, right? Well, I'll address the women's point first, then we'll deep dive into why it's disingenuous for men. I actually do want people to be the best version of themselves on the path of mastery of self, on the path of self-actualization. And if you understand those concepts, you get it. If you don't, we can go over those at another point, because those are deeper philosophies that we can discuss. Those are deeper ideologies and mentalities. The martial arts are huge about them, for example. Okay, the Eastern Oriental philosophies, some of them address these kind of things, right? Now, there's different takes on what that is, but a lot of it has to do with your spiritual self. Yes, it affects the body, the physical, the mental, the emotional, but a lot of it, it starts with the spirit, okay? It starts with the soul and taking care of your spiritual self, and then all things flow from out of that. And in the process, you become better of that, right? That's all great. I am here for personal development, personal growth, and more. That's part of the reason you see me doing these kind of videos now, that I'm addressing the bullshit, right? Problem is, this is not what's said for men. Now, the best version of the self, it works for women. We'll address what people mean by that in a second. Well, in a bit, right? The best version of yourself for women, it works, especially in society. Why? Because society it finds women inherently valued. Why? Because women can have kids. Society does not have any inherent value for men. No societies ever have. But what they did, a lot of them in the past, they at least valued what men can bring to the table. They valued who men are. They valued men's foresight, men's protection, provision, guidance, leadership, the things that men could build, the things that men could do. And it allowed men to go out to sea. It allowed men to become lumberjacks, fur trappers, etc., 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 as long as they weren't enslaved. And again, we understand that there was a lot of nuance to the conversation. Men who were warriors and more, right? Fathers, dads were actually valued and then revered. That's one word I'm thinking. There was another word, but I couldn't think of it at the moment. Anyways, all of that being said, all that's gone. So while women, there's been more female empowerment, right? Even though a lot of it's not actually female empowerment. We can have a discussion at that another time or in the comment section if you so desire. Always there for it. But what I would say is that women still have the choice to be women. Men don't have the choice to be men. Follow me. So women can choose to still be mothers and maternal. They can still do what women have always done, because women have always worked. You think men were the only ones working? Hunter-gatherer societies, anybody? Literally every society. If you weren't the upper class, and even a lot of the upper class still manage the house and more, women always have worked, just like men have always worked. It's just it was called delegation of activities. There's a reason why women were the cooker and the dada. They were at home. Who was taking care of the kids? Though, because the dad was away doing stuff. Somebody had to take care of the damn kids. Come on, y'all. Use logic. Right? Use rational. Don't let the modernist, postmodernist bullshit. Don't let all of this foolishness, deconstructionism, blind you from reality. Don't be stuck in the matrix. Just did a video addressing that in different pill communities. Okay. Women still have a choice to be fucking women. A lot of them don't really. They do partial womanhood, but they still have a choice. Men don't have a choice to be men. So, What do people mean by the best version of themselves? Right? Get your money up. That's what they say, right? Get your fitness up. That's what some say. Get your social status up. That's what they say. They there is sometimes a spiritual, sometimes that self control, things like that. There's some good masculine. Yeah. Where in any of this is actually the best version of yourself? Key point is your. What if the best version of a man's self is him becoming a monk or a hermit? Anybody ever had a conversation? What if the best version of himself is simply being a husband, a dad, a school teacher, a doctor, a construction guy who he doesn't make that much, but he enjoys what he's doing. He's providing for his family. He's providing benefit to society. What if that's the best version of himself? No, that's not good enough because he's not making this, that, and the other. He's not viewed as valuable by society because he doesn't have this great wealth, fame, and adoration. Best version of yourself. Build this business. Build this bit. Really? Okay. You do realize that's only your top whatever percent of men. So we're actually fuck all the other men, right? Fuck them. But don't actually fuck them. Don't actually have sex with them, even though you might get pregnant by them. But that's a whole other conversation, right? No. It's women. It's gynocentric. It's women putting their standards onto men, even though they don't have to. Remember, I told you women still have a choice to do shit. Women can have sugar daddies and shit and be good. Men, you have to make something of yourself. And I'm all for men doing stuff, but what if a man just opted out? He said, "No, I'm good." Oh wait, you can't do that. What happened to the days of homesteading? What happened to the days of pioneer living? What happened to the days of a man being able to go off and build and do? Maybe he gets a woman. Maybe he brings her. What happened to a wife being happy? The song "Coal Miner's Daughter" by Loretta Lynn. What happened to that? By the way, check that out, especially if you're into country music. What happened to those days? Nah, fuck that. Nah, screw that. Oh, nah. That can't possibly be the best version of men's health. But y'all know that men are simple. A lot of us men don't mind just being like farmers and stuff, producing something with his hands. Don't mind just being mechanics and more. But society puts all this pressure on men to grind, to grind. And then if a man doesn't, or if he's in a bad situation, or if he's unemployed, well, then he's lesser of, right? Still has all those capabilities, or whatever, but he doesn't have the that money in his pockets or in his bank account, right? So it's not the best version of self. Man has to be provide. But what about the other shit that the man can do? What about a couple coming together and building together? No, a man has to bring all of this to the table beforehand. Yeah, what happens when he gets old? Is he any less of a man now? And y'all know how hard it is for young. Oh no, we don't have that conversation for young men. Or just grind, just grind, just grind. Right. So a man does this, and I'll address more of this in a high value man conversation. But yeah, what about gold diggers? He does all of this, but how is that the best version of himself? Or is it that he becomes a useful tool for society? Does any of this pressure on young men? Where does any of this get him? Oh, it's best. Best for whom? Best why? Can you please explain to me how any of this best version of yourself? What if he's not trying to look like fucking him? And another thing is, we talk about female physical standards and beauty standards. What about men's beauty standards? The unrealistic standards. I always bring up the He-Man image. Do y'all understand how toxic it is? And I love me some, I don't love his character like that. But, I rocks with He-Man because guys don't typically care. But do you understand how that kind of image plays in a guy's minds? Look at all the bodybuilding, the roided up, right? But we don't want to talk about the detrimental aspect. Like, and yet, women accept me who I am, but as a man, you have to change everything about you to fit something. But then we want you to be yourself. But then when a man expresses himself, when he's emotionally vulnerable, when he's vulnerable about his mental health and more, no. Keep him single. No. Another woman no. It's overwhelming. But a woman can just vent. A woman can just do that. But for a man, he's supposed to just keep that. But then we want a man to again. It's the impossibility. I addressed some of this on the Will Smith video, but it's the impossibility for men in society. What do you want men to do? Men are just supposed to be automatons. But then we want them to be emotional when we want them to. We want them to be sexually attracted to us when we want them to. We want them, on the one hand, don't objectify us. Men like, okay. But then women do that, but they want to be validated, they want to be celebrated. But then you can only have certain concepts. We want men to be these high moral figures, but then we display temptation after temptation towards them. What is a man supposed to do? Best version of self. So his best version of self mean being a materialistic bastard? But then when that materialistic bastard does materialistic bastard things, when he becomes a jerk, complete dick, then that's bad. But then the majority of women go after that jerk and that dick because of what he can do, because all that matters is about the vanity. But men are supposed to be the vain ones, yet the women are having sex and babies with the vain ones. Make it make sense to me. I'm just observing. Am I something? No. But don't say make a man the best version of himself when the best version of himself is cookie cutter, when it's tailored to the whims of others. Why is the best version of yourself what others tell you is good enough? What others tell you is right for you? How's that the best version of yourself? Now, queer community will come along and they'll try to have their own say, but then they pressure you as well. Oh, well, have you, not this ain't everybody, but some say, well, have you tried to? I don't want a fucking man from a man. I don't want to. No, for a variety of reasons. He says, no, I'm good. Trans, well, it's transphobic if a guy doesn't like dick. No, I just told you I'm straight. You can't. No, what happened to choice? So gay can choose dick, lesbian can choose munching on some vag, trans y'all do what the fuck y'all do, but me as a straight man, no. God forbid I have standards of choice, and that's the thing, man. And you sit. Excuse me? I'm out here trying to like, excuse me, come live a day in my shoes. See what it is. Best version of yourself. With best version of yourself, what if the dude's just a fighter? You can only fight and I'm not telling the dude with wanton violence to be out of control. I'll be the first to say it. I'll be the first to step in. But you make this so difficult for men to exist. To even exist. The existence of man are threatened by this very matrix of a society. I keep telling y'all, I keep warning y'all, y'all have all but eliminated masculinity. Every single time that a society, that a civilization does it, check ancient Greece, check ancient Rome, check ancient Egypt, and you can go whichever one you want to. Every time a society does this, they fall into decadence. What happens when you assault on masculinity, when there's nothing but androgynous behavior, when there's nothing but overwhelming femininity, quote unquote. It's not femininity anymore because that's eroded. That's been eroded. But y'all, the attack on manhood, okay. Who's going to keep up your infrastructure? Who's going to keep up everything that y'all rely on? What happens when that's gone? When men just say, we're done. Or men become fucking, as you would say, barbaric, become savages. What happens when men become savages? Men say, fuck it. We just going to take what we want. We take it, nigga. Shout out to T.I. now. What happens when men start doing that? What can y'all do to stop it? Because y'all rely on other men to protect you from that. What happens when men start becoming radical and taking things into their own hands? What happens when men say, fuck this shit, we out, and they're just done? What happens when men stop having kids? Or what happens when young men are just like, nah, I'm good. Like, y'all ain't getting according to our plan? I'm not playing that shit anymore. I'm not playing all these little games with you anymore. What happens when men just like, all right, might as well just stick with escorts and prostitutes because it costs less. Anybody ever having this conversation? Again, this push towards best version of men is best for society is actually destroying manhood. It's actually destroying the young man's internal mental health, his emotional health, his well-being. It doesn't actually, it does the exact opposite of what is claimed. Isn't that how it always is? When you live in falsehood, when you live in vanity, when you're not actually caring about the individual. Because why care about a single individual? Now, people will say, oh, we actually care and we want individual. Do you though? Because what are you doing? To any of you out there, what have you done? And especially to any of you ladies who may or may not be watching this, because I know it can be harsh watching my content, even though a lot of women love talking with me about various things. Any ladies out there, have you considered the life of men? Have you ever asked boyfriend, husband, brother, dad, male friend, whatever the case may be? Have you ever asked them, yo, how are things? How are you doing today? I mean, really, how are you doing? Yo, are you going through things? Do you ever bother to listen to what he actually has to say, or you just brush it off? Do you actually listen to the men around you and what they actually have to say? And if you only have a bunch of dogs around you, that says everything about you because, or that's what you've chosen to surround yourself with. Because guess what? Any woman who has any sense of femininity will draw good men to her. They will protect her. They'll look to provide all kinds of things. They will provide guidance. Are you actually listening to the men in your lives? And I don't mean in control. No, I don't mean that foolishness. And if you're having controlling dudes, that says, again, about you. Why am I putting it on women? Because women attract positive and negative. And what you choose to select to have in your life. See, that's the power of femininity. That's the power of being a woman. Did anybody teach you that? Did any of your moms, any of your aunties, any female mentors, did they teach you the power of being a woman? I'm not telling you how to be a woman, but that's the power of being a woman. You attract. See, men don't, men give. And that's another issue about this best version of yourself. If you ever notice, it's about what men can do for others. It's not what a man can do for himself. Oh, that money and stuff, that money's going elsewhere. That grinding away, does that tell you to build a business? Oh, whoa, build a business. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Once again, for whom? Is it actually benefiting him or is it benefiting others? Oh, you will attract a woman to leech off your resources? Again, I'm not saying women are all leeches. I'm asking, what is the purpose of saying all this? Is a woman in his life to help him be a helpmeet, to be a wife? Whatever happened to a woman being a wife? I know that's such a novel concept, or is it just archaic, right? Best version of himself. What is that? What does that look like? How would he even know? Because he has so many messages ever since boyhood, ever since out the womb, that bombard him that he should be this, that, and the other. All these mixed messages so that a young man doesn't know what he is. He has to do so many years of unlearning to try to find out who the hell he actually is, who he is. And then how can he do stuff for society? If he even wants to be a part of society. Because here's the thing. Sometimes taking that young man out of society can get his mind right in society. Why do you think it is that a lot of young men who go off to the military become the best versions of themselves? Because they now have discipline, structure in their life. They become men. You hear that? With that bass in the voice, men. They can now do something. And here's the thing that I know this is harsh to hear. This is hard talk. But here's what's real. Idiots died. Okay? Young men, young bloods who went off into the wild and did some dumb shit, they died. Those who survived, guess what? They either established something for themselves or they came back with some skill sets that they could provide for society. See, by me saying all this, understand I'm caring about society because men build society. I know it's such a novel concept, but men actually build society. What I'm saying is, if you actually allowed men and taught them to be men and allowed them to become men and make the mistakes, positive and negative, either they die off or they become, and they iron sharpens iron, and they encounter men and they become best. They see that they have a skill now. How many young men have a skill, an actual skill, not the pushing papers or I get this money? How many of them have an actual skill? Not the few exceptions that you look after and lust after, ladies, but the actual skills. And when I say a skill, and am I saying I definitively have one? We can have that discussion at another point. I'm saying, how many men out there, and any gentleman looking at this video, what actual skill? What actual skill do you have? Now you can say, well, of course I got it. Really, really. Okay. Here's the thing. Actual skill. What is the thesis of your skill? What is the premise of your skill? Okay. Skill. I'm a carpenter. Not what you just do for a job. No, 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 no. What's your actual skill? Here's what I mean. Let's say you're a carpenter. You'll be able to give me an opening paragraph as the function of your job. I'm not talking you have to be that literate. I'm not talking you have to be that educated. I've known guys who barely could read, barely could do math, but let me tell you that you put them on a construction site, they will learn you something. That's the old school of teaching you something. They'll learn you something. Okay, they'll be able to teach you the ins and outs. Bro, this is this kind of screw, this is this kind of da 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 da. They'll be able to give you a doctorate of something. You ain't got to take years. Okay? What experience do you have in that field? Right? I don't want to hear, oh, I just do IT. That's not a skill, bro. You're just working a job. And guess what? You're replaceable. To any of you men out there, you're replaceable. Dan Locke, you can look him up on YouTube. I know there's Kevin Sanders that he talks about developing a skill that is, he talks about high leverage, high valued skill. That's fine. I have nothing wrong with people becoming wealthy, mind you. I'm just saying, not everybody desires going down that path. Whatever it is, develop a skill. Any young man develop one. Not saying it's easy. Not saying it's easy, but definitely develop one. And if you don't want to, it's okay to not know. Maybe you're one, like myself, you ask me what my skill is. Oh, I say we can talk about that later. Maybe you're in the process of developing multiple skills. Maybe you're not to be a specialist. Whatever the case may be, learn what your path is. Don't let others derail you. If something doesn't sit right with you, if you feel like you're slaving away at a job, get the hell out of there. Do what you need to do to survive. Get the hell out of there. And in the process, keep figuring it out, man. It's okay not to have it all together. It's okay if you're 25 and just now seeing like, damn, I don't know what the hell. That's okay. Most of us have been here. I know that's a dirty little secret. Most millionaires as men don't become millionaires till their 40s, if that's what you're after. A lot of businesses they fail. I forget how many times Donald Trump failed and to file for bankruptcy. It's okay. It's normal. It's natural. It's part of manhood. It's part of growth. You're gonna fail, by the way. Most boxers, most fighters take losses. That's okay. It's getting back up off the mat, having them hard days, going through those adversities. It's part of being a man. It's part of developing your manhood. Your manhood didn't stop and end with your balls dropping. It didn't start and end with having sex. It didn't start and end with gaining women. The actual going back all the way full circle. The actual best version of yourself is self-actualization. And if you're not on that path, you will never be the best version of yourself. Ask Robin Williams about that. Oh, wait, you know what happened to him? Committed suicide. Why? Because at the end of the day, you can become famous, you can become, you can develop a skill. But if you're not happy in here, see, the best version of yourself begins internally, begins in here, begins in here, begins in here, begins with you. I know they always say, oh, be the change you want to see. People say that cliche, but they don't tell you how. Okay? We can go more into detail, but that's actually what the best version of yourself is. Otherwise, it's disingenuous, it's fraud, it's negligible, and it's going to lead to your path of self-destruction, your path of over-critiquing yourself, your path of doubt, your path of defeat, your path of apathy, your path of depression, your path of just being emotionally distraught, your path of failure after relationship failure after relationship failure, after drinking down at the bottom, because you can have all the money in the world and you're dead inside, doped up, high as a kite and beyond. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world yet lose his soul? What can you have exchange for your soul? What can you give in exchange for your soul? Don't sell your soul for a piece of gold. There is wisdom behind these ancient and these older phrases, these old sayings. Because you think you're the first men to deal with this? You think you're the first man to deal with that temptation? Ooh, high value, so now I can gain all the pussy. Okay. So you have a bunch of women. Now what? You ever heard the phrase more money, more problems? Even Biggie talked about that. Don't fall for the lies. Don't fall for the okie. Don't fall for what the enemy has for you. Babylon's falling. It needs to fall. Don't fall along with it. Don't get lost in the streets of Babylon. Don't have Babylon infect your mind. And if you don't know what I mean about Babylon, I mean, there's a lot of Rastafari and a lot of reggae that talk about it. But what I'm referring to Babylon is if you know in scripture, if you know in antiquity, Babylonian Empire, but all of the heinous things that were done, you could say ancient Rome, you could say ancient Greece and whatnot. Don't let these worldly things, as what's often said, destroy your mind. Buddhism talks about detachment from lust, from worldly desires and stuff. It doesn't mean don't desire it. It means don't get stuck in the mire of this world, but remember your higher self. Enlightenment, on the path of enlightenment, right? Scripture talks about, be wary of these various things. There's a reason it says that, and there's a reason it says it for men. Okay. Unexpected one to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me your thoughts. I wasn't even planning on necessarily going this long in this video, but sometimes the truth just takes me where it takes me. Men, especially young men, don't fall for the okie doke. Don't fall for this foolishness that's out here. All right, y'all. Have a beautiful day, beautiful night. Peace. Let me know your thoughts. I want to hear what you have to say. I would love to have a dialogue. If there's any other topics, any other discussions, anything you want to send me, whatnot, let me know. Let me know what's going on out here. Be open. If you're comfortable, you feel comfortable. I want to have an actual safe space for people to be vulnerable, for people to talk about what it is. If this video was helpful for you, I would love to be known. You know, I'm learning just like y'all. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm dealing with this. I go through these things. Don't fall for the okadoke, man. Don't fall for stuff that is detrimental to you, and deteriorates who you are. Learn who you are. And also learn who you are not. Life itself is a paradox. It's a balance. Don't become unbalanced. Don't live in the imbalance, because if you do, it's you're not gonna grow. You're gonna have a barren field. And sure, you can keep throwing the seeds out on it, and sure, the weeds will grow, but will a good, bountiful crop grow?